cool stat and trend talked about at all the office meetings was the alarming trend of how many new home buyers were actually starting their search on the internet versus older traditional methods like driving around or simply calling a realtor. It wasn't that long ago when this was actually news, and we all had to figure out how to capitalize on this and how to drive our marketing efforts to the internet to capture some of these internet shoppers. Well, now there's new news about home buyers searching on the internet. It's actually how they search and what they now use to search.
I cannot keep up with these trends, but hey, what do I know? I still think the internet's a fad.
Say what?
So if you're like me, you're probably going to do business the old-fashioned way, pounding the pavement with a hearty handshake. But nevertheless, don't tune this stuff out, because although our generation doesn't really get this stuff, it is important.
That is true, and let the record show that I actually agree with Hawk that pounding the pavement and shaking hands is still the best strategy. But back to the story. Realtor.com looked into how people were actually searching for homes, meaning what device did they use. What they found was pretty interesting. More than half of all page views of listings nationwide now occur through a mobile device as opposed to a desktop computer. You remember those things.
Even more interesting, of all mobile devices, more than twice as many listings are viewed via iPad or iPhone than Android. More than twice.
Drilling that down even more and leaving out the tablets, searches with iPhones are nearly 3 times as high as Android searches.
Now the takeaway here is not that iPhones are better than Androids.
Even though they are.
The takeaway is the fact that a huge number of our collective target market is found not only on the internet, but on their phones. Why is this important? Why should we care?
Well, I think it's important because I know how much money is spent every day trying to capture these potential buyers. Builders, realtors, mortgage folk, Zillow for that matter, all spending millions of dollars every day to get in front of these buyers. So the question for us becomes, are we spending our time and money in the right arenas? Old school saying for Hawk here, are we casting our nets in the right spot?
It's actually a really good question for us individually, but an even better question corporately. Are the Keller Williams and John L. Scotts of the world spending their money wisely in an effort to help their realtors? Are the large mortgage companies spending their money wisely and in the right areas to capture their target markets?
Well, larger companies tend to move slower than individuals, so if you're taking the time to capture this business, make sure your efforts aren't going in vain and you take this info into account before you spend your hard-earned money. Does your personal phone app work with iPhone and Android? Is your personal website geared for mobile devices versus desktops? If so, have you thought about how you're going to convert those leads? Typically, mobile searches limit the amount of marketing you can have on the page.
Or are you like me, and while this story is interesting, you're just going to get up, get in your car, and go pound pavement and shake hands, like we've always done?
Better yet, maybe you do both, as both can be fruitful. Here's a look at the Realtor.com numbers so you can see how your specific area is affected. We'll leave you with this graphic. It looks like our area is split down the middle, 50-50. And I'm curious, as you guys check this out, who's going to continue to pound pavement and who's going to look to capture this huge internet market? Let us know down below, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, baby, I rule.